Hey everybody, this is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Quick update on what's going on down in the tropics and why you probably should ignore every single model and every single basic forecast on this thing because basically nobody knows where this thing is going. What you're looking at right now is an area of disturbed weather we call Invest 96L. The center of circulation is part of the issue here. You could see this big cluster of showers and thunderstorms. There is a lot of rain sitting down here in parts of the Yucatan Channel down into the Western Caribbean. When you look at the infrared satellite image, you can see this big blowup. It actually looks like a big MCS or mesoscale convective system we would have over the United States. You can see all those very bright cloud tops. Water vapor loop also shows a big plume of moisture right there. And most people are focusing on that, and rightfully so. That's a very impressive looking area of thunderstorms. But here's the problem. Look where the actual surface low is. It's actually over in here where there is not a thunderstorm to be found. So this is a very poorly organized system. And part of the problem is all of the models you're going to see are tracking a low that is somewhere over here, when in reality, I'd want to know where all this rain is going to be. So if you're planning trips to the beach, to the coast, to the Gulf Coast, to Florida, and you're like, where's the low going to go? You should just disregard them right now, minus the fact that we don't know what's going on down here. Part of the problem is when you look at the data network that goes into the models, there is not one piece of upper air data coming in from this area out here. There's a couple buoys up here in the northern part of the Gulf of Mexico. There's a couple, I think there's two upper air stations down here, one in Belize and one in the Yucatan Peninsula. But there's no surface data or even upper air data, so the models are grasping at straws. Until the hurricane hunters get out there and figure out where this circulation center is, the models are just kind of generally forecasting the environment down there, which is favorable for slow development. So let's take a look at those models. These were the model runs this morning, the spaghetti plot we call them, and you can see they're kind of all over the place. There's definitely a little tendency to want to shift this thing off over Florida, but there's also a secondary little area of cluster of models that want to go off to the west. There's definitely going to be some kind of debate on whether this thing goes into Texas or goes east. It may just simmer down here for a couple days and not do much of anything. It's something to watch, definitely. If you start looking at some of the other data, the early cycle intensity models, none of the models out to 5 days into the future really have this thing strengthening all that much. Minimal tropical storm. It's really all about the rain, and that's really going to be the biggest concern. And this is another reason why you got to kind of ignore the track models, because you look at the rainfall totals from HPC, 17 plus inches over the next 5 days in the Gulf of Mexico. Depending on what happens with the track of the low, I would really care less where the low goes. I want to know where this right side is, where all this rain is that's going to be moving north and possibly over Florida, maybe over Georgia, maybe over Texas. This is going to be all about rain, not wind or surge. It's going to be a rainstorm that we're worried about. So until we get hurricane hunters out there, they were scheduled to go out today. They canceled that flight. They're going to go out there tomorrow. The models are just kind of, they're grasping at straws. Every model has a different location where the center is. And until the hurricane hunters can get a fix on wherever there's an entity or low-level circulation, then the models will become much better because the data will have an initial starting point. If you think about these weather models, they're kind of like those word problems you had in high school where one train leaves Philadelphia and it's going to, New York at this speed. What time is it going to arrive? Well, the problem is the models don't have the speed, the location, and where the train's going. So it's an impossible problem to try to figure out in the model data. So we'll keep an eye on it. If it does move up towards Florida, it's going to slowly happen over the next couple days, but it's going to be down there for 5 or 6 days. We'll be watching it that entire time. So something to keep an eye on, but nothing to worry about right now. Somebody's going to get beneficial rain out of this. It could be Texas, could be Florida. Stay tuned and don't change your plans right now. Just pay attention to the weather over the next 5 days.